The increasing enforcement that we're seeing, that a lot of you are hearing about, is certainly scary, but it's actually nothing new. Those of you that have been following this issue know that President Obama actually deported 2.5 million people during his presidency, which is more than every US president in the 20th century combined, right? So those of us that are working to provide information to help these populations, these are issues we've been dealing with. And you know, in some respects, I'm glad that the increased media attention has brought this issue to the forefront. We heard Judge Jenkins talk about an increasing reliance on so-called 287G agreements. And a program called Secure Communities that's being reinstated that deputizes local law enforcement to act as immigration officials. There's talk about, in the executive order, of hiring 100,000 additional immigration officers, which will triple the size of that agency. Now, these things, again, they won't happen immediately. There needs to be congressional appropriation, right? There was the panic. Here's the, it's okay, no need to run screaming, but it's just we have to be aware. We saw just this week the arrest and detention of one of our dreamers who was here under DACA. Some of you may have seen the news this morning that a woman who was a survivor of domestic violence who was going to seek a protective order against her abusive spouse was arrested at the courthouse in the process of seeking a protective order. So it is incredibly important for leaders and for people in these communities, for us to know our rights. I'm going to talk very briefly about 3 different areas. 1, your rights in public. 2, at home, and 3, if you are arrested. Right? So in public, this is the nitty-gritty concrete information. If approached by a law enforcement officer, the first thing to say is, am I free to go? The answer is yes. Say, thank you, I don't wish to speak to you, and everybody in this room has the right to walk away. Really important to know. If they say, no, you're not free to go, then remain silent, ask for a lawyer, right? If a search is started, I don't consent to this search, right? These are some important words to remember. And again, I will say there's some really good information on the small slips of paper that you all have on your chairs. And then upstairs in the room, I'll have a huge list of web links that you can go to get this information, to see it in writing. Importantly, if you're approached, things not to do. Okay, I told you what to do, what not to do. Don't lie, don't show fake papers, don't run away, don't resist arrest, right? But you do not have to necessarily cooperate, right? You can't run away, but you also don't have to say anything. If immigration enforcement comes to your home, same thing, you don't have to let them in unless they have a warrant. You can ask for them to slip a card under the door, to leave a card there, and you will contact them back at a time that is convenient. Unless any kind of police officer has a warrant, you do not have to let that police officer into your home. If they come in without permission, again, ask for a warrant. If there's no warrant, ask for them to leave. It's a good advice to advise law enforcement if there are children or any other vulnerable populations, people with medical issues, elderly people in the house, if they start to search. And again, if they start to search, the magic words, I do not consent to this search. If they start to arrest you, to segue into number 3, it's really important to be able to tell arresting officers about any medical conditions, pregnancy, nursing, or any child care issues that anybody might have, just so that people can start they can be aware of those issues. Again, this is the same speech that you give to anybody, right? It applies to immigrants too. If you are arrested, what do you have the right? You have the right, everybody watches Law and Order, you have the right to remain silent, right? And that includes, you have the right to not provide information about your immigration status, about your country of origin.